Hey everyone, I'm out here in the garage today, and recently I did a video on framing nailers, and I talked about the different framing nailers you can use and when I would use one over another. And so what I'm going to do today is talk about finish nailers. So stay tuned. So before we get into a discussion on finish nailers, let's talk about the difference between a framing nailer and a finish nailer. So this is the framing nailer, obviously. You can tell by the size, it's really big. And this is a framing nail. This is my finish nailer, a lot smaller in size. And this is a finish nail. So let's take a look at the two nails. You can see the head on this one is much larger. This one's got a small head on it. See those side by side? So they definitely have different purposes. The framing nailer is usually used for building walls, putting floor joists, anything really structural in nature that's meant to support weight. So the finish nailer I've used to put in wood trim. I've also used it to put in wood flooring. So if I couldn't get really close to the wall with my flooring nailer, I'll grab the finish nailer just to finish off the last couple rows of flooring. So I would not confuse the two nailers because they definitely have distinct purposes. Alright, so these are all my finish nailers. We're going to kind of walk through each one of these individually. But what I would like to do first of all is just kind of compare them across the board. So we've got this Dewalt right there. I've used this one an awful lot. And you can see it's got an angled magazine on it. So this will get closer up to items, whereas something like this one, this is my PorterCable, has a straighter magazine on it. So this one is a little bit limited in how you use it. So as you can see right there, the magazine is really close to the surface in this instance. Whereas this one, if I need to angle it for some reason, I can do that a little bit better. So these are very similar, except for the fact that they have different magazine configurations. This here is a Pastload nailer, just like the Pastload framing nailer that I have, except for it's for finish nailing. This one has also an angled magazine on it. So that would be a little bit comparable to this one. Right there. So that's the Pastload. So this one uses gas and also battery power. This here is a brad nailer. So not quite like a finish nailer, it's a little bit of a step down. I just wanted to put it in this discussion because it is used a lot of times for finish nailing. So this is my brad nailer. You see that's got a straight magazine on it also. So we'll talk a little bit about the difference between a brad nailer and a finish nailer also. Alright, so let's start with my Dewalt finish nailer. And I use this as my go-to nailer. This is the one that I reach for when I need to do a lot of finish nailing. I'll pick this one first. So as you can tell, it's got the angled magazine on it. As we talked about, this is a 34-degree angle. It shoots 1 1/4 inch to 2.5 inch nails. These are the nails right here. And then also this shoots 15 gauge nails. So that's one thing you need to make sure you do is pick the right gauge of nails for your finish nailer. So also this tool has a depth adjustment on the side, right there. And then it's got this hook for putting it on your belt. And as you can see, this one runs off air. So I can use this one all day long for the most part with my 6-gallon air compressor, whereas the framing nailer, I'm probably a little more hesitant to use the 6-gallon air compressor. Just if I have to shoot a lot of nails with the framing nailer, a lot of times I'll just use my larger compressor. So definitely a very handy tool to have around. So let's go ahead and put this one to the test. We'll do that next. Alright, so there's a Dewalt finish nailer we get to play with. So what I'll do first of all, I want to load the nails. So I'm going to pull back on this lever. That locks it in place. The nails go back here. Slide those in. This one has a little bit of a bind on it, so I have to kind of overcome that bind first, and then I can slide it forward. like that. And then this gets pulled forward like that. Okay, so now what we'll do is go ahead and hook it up to some air. And I typically run this gun at around 85 psi, but it's also going to depend on the kind of material you're nailing into or nailing through. So right here I've got a piece of cedar, but I was also doing hardwood flooring, which is a lot harder than the cedar. So for the hardwood flooring, I actually had to up the pressure a little bit. So what this is a sample of the trim that I put on the chimney. So I'm just going to kind of demonstrate that. All right, so let's go ahead and shoot a couple nails. Now, this is not nearly as potent as a framing nailer, so it's not going to have nearly the kickback. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and press up against here and then shoot my nails. There's one, and I'll put one right over here next to it. So this really isn't that hard a tool to use. It's pretty fun, actually. So you can see the nails are a little bit set in below the wood, which I really wanted because if I was going to be putting up trim, I want to be able to caulk over those nails. So that's the Dewalt air-powered finish nailer. Alright, so let's take a look at the PorterCable finish nailer. This one has a straight magazine on it, unlike the Dewalt, which had an angled magazine. This one shoots 1 inch to 2.5 inch nails at 16 gauge. So they're a little bit thinner than the Dewalt nails. And then the working pressure on this particular tool is 70 to 100 psi. This one has a depth adjustment on the side, so you can adjust the depth. That's pretty cool. And it really is not much different from the Dewalt tool other than the fact that it has a straighter magazine on it. So let's go ahead and jump into a quick demonstration of this tool. So here's a PorterCable finish nailer, and one quick thing I wanted to show you is a feature they have on this tool. Press on this spring, and then you can open this top, and any nail that's jammed in there, you can get it out. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and load this up with some nails. So you pull back right here on this lever. This goes in the top. So your nails go there. And then press on this button right there. And there you go. This tool does require oil, unlike the Dewalt, so I'm going to go ahead and put some oil in it. Just put a drop in there, drop or two. There we go. Then I'm going to go ahead and hook it up to the air line. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot a couple nails into this block here, just like I did with the Dewalt. The pressure is set at around 85 psi right now on this tool, so let's go ahead and see what happens. There's one, and the second one. So those nails are installed. Now I could bring the depth up just a little bit. It's a little bit deep, but that looks pretty good. So there's a PorterCable finish nailer. Alright, so let's talk about the brad nailer next. And as you can tell, this is a much smaller tool than the finish nailer. Now, this one I typically will use on craft projects or anything where I'm nailing really the smaller pieces of wood together, maybe like pieces of lattice, or I have an example right here. This is a wooden box. So I would use a brad nailer for something like this. So let's just take a look at the brad nail. That's what it looks like. So this one is 18 gauge. In comparison to the finish nail, that's a 15 gauge finish nail. And then this is a framing nail. So you can see the progression of the sizes there, and they all have their own purposes. This 18 gauge brad nailer shoots 3/8 of an inch to 1 3/8 of an inch nails. So that's the difference in the range of size also. This has a working pressure of 60 to 100 psi. So the pressure, as you see there, the range is a little bit different too. This one can shoot continuously. You can see right there on the side, there's a lever. So it shoots continuously in this mode, and then you can shoot a single nail in this other mode. So we'll look at a little bit of a demonstration of that later too. And this has a depth adjustment right here. There's a little wheel. You can probably barely see that, but there's a little wheel right there that you adjust the depth with. So this is a very compact tool. You know, even kids can use this tool, of course, if they're being supervised, but very easy to use. let's go ahead and get into a demonstration of the brad nailer. All right, so there's a brad nailer, and we're going to go ahead and load it up with some nails. So you press down on this lever, and then we're going to shoot 1 1/4 inch nails. Those go right in here with the head up. Close that up. Very simple. Now, I have it right now selected for the single mode. There's a continuous mode. We're going to start out with the single mode, and then we'll play with the continuous mode. Next, I'm going to hook this up to the air line. This tool does not require oil, by the way, and I have it at around 80 psi. So let's go ahead and start shooting some nails. What I'm going to demonstrate here is what I was doing this past summer. So I had 2 pieces of trim that were meeting at a corner on the chimney, and what I wanted to do is kind of make sure this seam right here was less visible. So I used brad nails on this corner. So this part actually was more visible from the street. And then I had this other side that was kind of hidden behind the wall. But I still wanted to make sure this seam was not quite that visible. So I took my clamped those 2 pieces together, and then took the brad nailer, and then right here, turn this upside down. Just like that. All right, and then I'll put a second nail right down here. There we go. So I use a brad nailer sometimes not just for building craft boxes or anything like that, or putting lattice together, but also for situations where I want to tack something together. The brad nailer does a really good job at that. If you want to temporarily tack something together, or do something where you're putting 2 pieces together at a corner like this. So then all I would have to do is take a little bit of caulk and run it in there to seal that up. All right, so let's try the brad nailer in the continuous mode. So I'm going to go ahead and push down and then flip this over. And then we'll go ahead and shoot a couple nails. So all I have to do is press down on the lever and then just tap it. And that's it. All right, so let's take a look at the Pastload finish nailer. You can see it right there, side by side with the Dewalt. The Dewalt is a little bit larger tool, but they weigh pretty much about the same. So I'm going to set that aside. The Pastload runs off gas and then also battery powered. You see the gas is a little bit smaller than the gas that's used for the framing nailer. These are the nails. These are Pastload proprietary nails. So that's kind of a drawback, I would say. The nail range is 1 1/4 to 2.5 inches at 16 gauge. So pretty standard size nail. Some features on this tool, I would say right here, we've got the hook for your belt. Also typical of these finish nailers, you have a place to unload any sort of jam right at the top there. So that's really simple. The battery goes on the side right over here, like that. See, there's an indicator light. It's green right now because the battery's charged. If it were red, then that means the battery's running low. Back here is where you put your gas. Goes back there. And then just close this door. So that's about it. We're going to go ahead and load this tool up and put it to use. Let's do that next. Alright, so it appears that the module that provides power to the Pastload nailer spark plug has failed. And when I check it with my multimeter, I'm getting no voltage at the spark plug, so I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That thing is about $100. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to go ahead and replace it. But if I do, I'll keep you posted, maybe do a video of it. But hopefully this information on finish nailers was helpful, and thanks for watching. See links in the description below. Comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to check us out on social media. And thanks for watching.